Hi, welcome to another video. We are working on an ArcoLinuxB plasma machine and we are creating more articles for ArcoLinuxB Icewm. The B stands for building. I don't know if you know it, but we supply all our knowledge, well, first of all, in all these websites we have and on YouTube, but also the building process. You can actually build an ISO rather than say, okay, let's go and get it and download it from ArcoLinux info and so on. Why not build it yourself and then it becomes your ISO, right? A little bit of knowledge, that's all it requires, and of course ArcoLinux, and off you go. Now, the one I want to explain now, I'll just go alphabetically, and that's this one. We have not made any videos about build your own ISO on ArcoLinux for Icewm, and this is the look of Icewm. And it's always the same. If you watch one video of ArcoLinuxB, you see them all. But you know, there are always new users, new people coming to ArcoLinux, and of course then they see this video as the first one. And it's simple. You need to git clone something. You need to get everything from our GitHub. And then it's playtime, right? So Control C. We want to build a JWM ISO to install on our real metal. So first of all, we need to have a computer in the house with ArcoLinux or ArcoLinux. That's going to work as well, but not Manjaro, right? It's working on the package Arch ISO. Control T, let's do it just on our desktop. Git clone, or was it already present? Then it's Control Shift V, right? Get me everything from this specific place. Then we go inside this folder and we do ls. Now, if you don't like to work in terminals, well, let's go to the home, Arco Icewm. So basically that's what we have, right? It's the same thing. So these days it's important to remind you guys that we have an article here, Arch ISO README. I told it, I just mentioned it, that sudo pacman -q Arch ISO. The version of this particular package is important. Well, first of all, it needs to be installed, but normally it is installed by default, right? So Arch ISO has 49-1, which means, let's have a look. They say you should have 49-1. So we're good. You can read the rest, but basically we're good. Arch ISO, we have the correct version. That's what we want to know. Second step, what are they saying here? You can change anything in a particular file, packages x86-64, or you just leave everything, right? So we've made the decision years ago to supply you guys with an ArcoLinuxB minimal. We used to have a full and a minimal. A full could be with GIMP, with Inkscape, with this, with that, right? 3 browsers, not one, etc. So these days, you go to Arch ISO, and this particular file is not going to be installing, let's say, the complete Linux library, but it's going to say this yes, this no, and everything with a hashtag in front of it. Right, this hashtag will not be installed. So that's an interesting part. Now, all these things are rather technical, so I would suggest you just keep off unless you know what you're doing. If you don't have Bluetooth, if you don't want to have Bluetooth, you can have hashtags in front of that, right? But interesting stuff starts here, line 240. At this point in time, of course, more and more software comes in and then the lines go down, but the software from the Arch Linux repositories. You can have a moment to contemplate and then say, okay, I do want to have Inkscape, so I'm gonna install it on my ISO. So that's the point, right? If you want to have a different kind of ISO that we supply on SourceForge and on SeedHost, and you say, no, I'm gonna build myself a ISO for myself immediately with Inkscape, so I don't need to type sudo pacman -s Inkscape later. You just delete the hashtag or add some lines to it, right? If you like, for instance, some papyrus icon theme, you put it in there. It's going to be on the ISO, it's going to be on your future system. Simple as that. So the hashtags, go over them. You like a lot of icons here. You see there are a lot of icons you can install just by deleting some hashtags. There it is. It's on your system, the Future system, on the ISO first, and then you install it, and then you have it on your computer system. So that's how you go and look at all these things. In the end, we have the ISO specific things. So ISWM needs this, needs that, needs that. So I suggest you keep off here. But you can add more things. You can say, these are Eric things. And I can say, look, I want to have Spotify on my machine. Is that possible? Well, if you can install it, sudo pacman -s Spotify, if you can do it like this, voila, you can install it. The same goes for everything else. And the sudo pacman -s Dropbox, maybe also something interesting. So, okay, I can install it. So you can install the packages that we put on our ArcoLinux repo. It's pre-built, you can use it. The thing is, if you want to have a package that's on the AOR, that's not possible. Of course, everything is possible with a little bit more knowledge, but not simple, right? So that's, I refer you to ArcoLinuxISO.com, and there is how it's done. So basically, get everything from ArcoLinux, get anything from ArcoLinux, like these two guys here, and there are 100 more. It's all on the repo, on the PAMAC. You can have a look at PAMAC. Update this guy. This is PAMAC for you. And where is it again? Repositories. Anything that's here, for instance, third-party Focuswriter is here. Better lock screen. It's not alphabetically, I think. So by relevance, by name. So boxes, caffeine, C matrix, CPU fetch, downgrade, all kind of things. And extra large are the big guys, over 100 megabyte, brackets bin, Brave bin, Dropbox is here, Faba is here, Gitfiend, Gitkraken, etc, etc, etc. Any of these guys, like Teams these days, with everybody staying at home, right? And we need to talk. Why not talk from Linux or ArcoLinux to Windows, right? It works. I've tested it. All right. So okay, I would like to have Teams as well. Save, and that's it. So decide what you want to have on your ISO. If you start deleting stuff that's important, you'll soon see a message saying, hey, that's not going to work. Basically, if you, with some common sense, what I've shown you now, there is no danger or anything. Now there's number 30. That's built the ISO the first time. So yesterday I built one, which means I have already in my root, in the var cache pacman packages, I have already a lot of packages in here, right? So I can spare some bandwidth if I do. I'm probably gonna need to do this. Let's have a look. Oh, there we go. So if I take number 40, it's not gonna delete that cache. It's gonna reuse the packages that I downloaded yesterday, which means less bandwidth and a faster ISO. So I'm gonna do number 40 today, right, in this video. Now, I need to be sure that I'm, of course, in the proper directory, present working directory. Unless, if I want to keep this open, then I need to go to installation scripts. So now I have 30 and 40. So we decided together here to run number 40, and that's it. It's time to walk away, to have a smoke or eat something, and etc. The machine does its work. In the end, you'll get an ISO, and we'll make an installation with that particular ISO as well. And check if Spotify, here they are again, Faba Mocha icons, favorite icon, Spotify, Dropbox. So the things we've added are already shown here. We know it's gonna be on our ISO. But these need to be downloaded, of course, because I did not install it last time. Right? So that's why these guys are here. Teams is here. So everything cool. It's gonna check the package integrity. And if we've passed this particular thing here and there are no errors, then I'll pause the video. And off it goes, right? Checking for file conflicts, that's an important one, and off it goes. So let's pause the video here and wait for the result. All right, you walk away, you come back, and what do you see? You see you have an ArcoLinuxB Icewm from 2020, from November, version 9. Where? In your ArcoLinuxB out. So we move up, we see we have an ArcoLinuxB out folder, and last time I've built ArcoLinuxB, right? And now we have an Icewm. We can have a look at the package list with Sublime Text, for example. And what do I remember? I remember I've installed Spotify. I remember I've installed Dropbox, etc. Right? So your ISO contains whatever you like. And that's the fun, of course. This is a personal ISO. You've built it yourself and you put on there what you like, what you have. All right, next video is gonna be, let's install this and see that everything is installed. All right, cheers.